We're always on time.
All right.
And there we go.
We're always on time. That's me. I got severe and early training by a British person to be on time. So I'm very prompt.
I'm only on time when I'm working.
Being on time is a good thing.
I'm at least I'm honest.
All right. I'm Sally Reid, and this is Malyssa Jackson. And
Absolutely.
we do this all day long, every day. We just,
I know.
as they say, we kibitz away.
We're the best at it.
Mm-hmm. Well, today we are going to talk a little bit about how your relationships are affected by you. And so how you can heal yourself and then heal your relationships. Now, I'm going to let Malyssa talk a little bit about herself right now so she can introduce herself so you can know who she is.
Yeah, so I'm Malyssa Jackson, and I am your Fit Mind Motivation Coach. So basically what that means is I energize and inspire and excite you to manifesting your dreams through fitness, movement, and mindset coaching. And as of now, we do this every day of the week. I have a yoga class that I'm teaching Sunday through Friday. And on Sundays, we get together and we have a mastermind mindset group. And there we sit there and we talk about what we're experiencing and how to get the absolute best out of life.
How do people get in touch with you or join the group if they're interested?
Well, actually, you can, since we're on Facebook, you can hit me up on Facebook, or I have a website that's melyssajackson.com. And that's improving, but as of now, you can see what we're doing and you can get into the class. But it's probably best to just reach out to me. Also on there, you can do a free 15-minute consult and we can talk about what you need.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
And I am Sally Reid. And what I do is in about 10 minutes or less, I can figure out exactly the one thing that is getting in your way of getting or being or doing or having exactly what you want. And it's usually something small and it's usually something old, but it can be something big that you don't even remember. And so I specialize in getting to the bottom of the problem and getting rid of it for good. We're not going to wallpaper over it. We're not going to do any kind of, pretend clearing. We are going to look at it, see it, and get rid of it. It's like the difference between shoving all the dirty dishes in the dishwasher and saying the kitchen is clean, or going ahead and scrubbing the countertops. We're going to scrub your countertops.
Yeah, get it all done.
Get it
Clean
done.
it all out of there.
And if you want to work with me, you can go to my page, or you can go to my Facebook profile and click consult. And you can go right there to my scheduling and we'll talk about it. There's a free consult and you have 45 minutes of me free. We'll talk about it. So let's get on with our day. You want to take it away or do you want me to take it away?
Why not? I got it. So we're talking about healing your relationships and healing yourself to do that. So any issue that you're having in your relationships with people, with animals, with anything, if there is an issue, it's because of projection or the energy of expectation. So basically you're coming into the relationship projecting how you want it to be or how you feel it should be or what you think that they're thinking or what you expect. Do you agree, Sally?
Yeah. And this is what it kind of looks like for you. Say that you had an altercation with a person at work and it kind of didn't end so well. It wasn't finished. And so the next time you talk to this person, that thing is like buzzing around behind you going, I don't know if I address this person. I expect this person's going to give me a hard time. So you're coming at this person projecting, give me a hard time. And you know what happens? That person might give you a hard time because they feel it.
Yeah, it's true every time.
Every time.
Whenever you go into a situation and you put in there that energy that you're putting out, you're going to get back exactly what you're putting out. And when you have a healthy relationship, there is no expectations.
Or the expectation is of everything will be all right.
There you go.
That's what I expect with you.
Yeah, and expectation of peace Absolutely. You expect everything to be okay with me? Boy, that's pressure. So all relationships are you. They are a reflection of you, and they teach you something for your ultimate perfection to become who you agreed to be on this earth when you agreed to come here.
Yeah. So what Melyssa's meaning by that, and she's reading what the guide said. I said that, yet that's why it didn't sound like her. It sounded like something crazy I would say, because that's what the guide said. And this is what they mean by that. When we are about to join this planet, our souls are getting ready to be dropped into a baby. We have an agreement. We have a wanting. We have sort of a checklist on our clipboard of what we'd like to learn, what we'd like to see, what we'd like to do. And then we're also, as we well know, we're given things we're good at, and we're given things that we enjoy. And we come out whole and fresh and not knowing anything. And then we're dropped onto this planet, and we're trained for at least 7 years by the people training us. Sometimes it's our parents, our grandparents, could be foster, it could be bad experiences, whatever it is trains us, because we have no filters. We're just full on recording. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to undo that crap so we can become exactly who we decided to be our perfection.
Wow. So what you're saying is basically everything that we learned for the first 7 years is who we are. And we don't change that. That does not change. Unless
we look at it and go, is that who I am? Is this truly what I believe? Does this feel right here?
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You help people
so
see
maybe
that.
maybe some life experience that tells you, hey, maybe I should start checking in with, is this who I want to be? Otherwise, everything that we learned up until we are 7 is kind of who we are forever, unless we choose to be different.
And the point is that we have free will. We have choice. All it takes is noticing. And sometimes that's the hardest part. I mean, I walk around like a zombie half the time. Sometimes do you?
Yeah, sometimes it happens.
and we don't notice what we're doing. Like, I have once driven to Virginia without noticing. It's possible.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's in the not noticing where in your relationships, you're responding and reacting the way that you learn to respond or react or expect. So
yeah, projection, expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. Or your fears or what you love. You know, you're putting those expectations out there on your relationships.
You are. You know what's interesting? Now, here's an example of a relationship that could go really screwy. And we hear this all the time. Women have a certain idea about how something should go. Say a birthday. My man got to get me my birthday. Now, does she open her mouth and say, man, get me my birthday? And this is what I want my birthday to be. No, He should know. And when he does, I mean, you guys, do men know? Do they ever know?
If we tell them.
You have to open your mouth.
Yeah.
There's no shoulding. And that's an idea of projection, expectations, and thinking, since he loves me, he should know what I love. Over 30 years of marriage. Really doesn't. Okay.
I think I learned early on in the game that if I don't ask for what I want, then I can't expect it, because how else will you know what I want?
This is true. And that's a relationship.
Yeah, that's relationships.
That's your relationship with yourself. Now, there's some people who are taught that in my relationship with myself, people who love me should know me, and therefore I don't have to ask. So you're setting yourself up for unhappiness. Or there's people who have an idea that people who love me hurt me, and I look for ways to prove that to myself. And that's the confirmation bias. And do you have an opinion about that? Do you have something to say?
Well, also what I was thinking is we teach people how to treat us a certain way. So, we're teaching people that this is how I want you to treat me, but then we get upset when they treat us that way.
It's true.
Wait,
So
what?
true.
It's like for years I've been telling you that this is how I want things to be, but now that you're doing it and I don't like it anymore, you know, all of a sudden I'm not realizing that this is how I told you to treat me. And it's usually based on what I was thinking when I came into that relationship. I came into the relationship thinking a certain way about how you were going to treat me. So then I taught you to treat me that way. Then you treated me that way. Then I didn't like it.
And it's usually based on fear.
Yeah.
We both have a story to share about how we teach, how we're taught, and how we teach. And the one I wanted to talk about was the day that the electrical guy, the guy from the Tennessee electric people, doesn't matter who they are, but he walked in the back gate and my horses were loose and my dogs were loose. I mean, if we had chickens and pigs and anything else, they would have acted the same way, because I teach my animals how they are treated by humans. And I'm very kind and affectionate and welcoming, and I respect them and talk to them. So as the nice man walked through the gate, he was one by one greeted in turn by each one of the animals in, "Oh, hello, welcome to the house. How are you? May I show you where you're going?" And then when the horses started doing it, the guy started flipping out, going, "Oh my God, horses are greeting me." So that's what they learned. They never lived anywhere else. So they know that all humans want to be talked to and greeted and acknowledged. And you told me a story about the mean girl thing. I'd love to hear that. That's the opposite side.
The mean girl. No, well, actually, I think the story that I was talking about was in the yoga environment.
Mm. That one's very, very painful, but keep going.
So this one is painful, and initially I wasn't going to share it, but I think it's important for me to share because it's truth. So I found myself in an environment where I always believed that I needed to look a certain way. And when I would go into that environment, I always expected people to treat me as if I didn't look the way they wanted me to look. So there's a certain look in the yoga studio, and everyone is aware of it.
Skinny.
Yeah. Skinny. Young. White.
Not always.
Usually.
Not in Miami.
I'm telling you my projection.
Yeah, white.
And thin. So and these things are not me. So I would always go into an environment expecting to be treated a certain way because I was different. And I always went into places that treated me different, and always found teachers that treated me different. Oh. So yeah, always. So it's not until I can go back and change that projection and seek an environment that treats me in a way that I want to be treated, instead of the way that I'm teaching them to treat me. And then I can find a better environment for me.
Add to that, now this is another one. I was taught that is how I was to be treated. That was my expectation of my persona. Because remember, all relationships are reflections of you, of who you believe that you are.
This is true.
You bring yourself to every relationship. So this is a perfect example of that.
And you know what? Even when you leave the relationship, you just keep finding yourself. What's that about? Like, I think this relationship isn't working. I'm gonna go do it again. And then you go find another relationship and it's the exact same thing. Just like going from studio to studio, expecting it to be different. It wasn't them that needed to be different. It was me. Or I was just finding people who were giving me, who did believe that, and they were giving me exactly what I believe because that's what I believed.
Or there's another thing. Not only did you seek out the studio that would give you what you believed you deserved, because remember, it's what we believed we deserved. if they didn't give it to you, there could have been a bias that you didn't notice that they weren't giving it to you, and you pushed them until they did.
Ah,
Think about that one. Is that true?
That's even more into teaching you how to treat me.
Yeah. Because
and I only notice, like you said, so that is the confirmation bias. I only notice what I believe.
Yeah.
And I see what I believe. So there could have been other things present, but because of what I believe, this is what I see.
This is true. Absolutely.
So.
And that's what we all do. Melyssa's not special or different. She's just like everybody else.
Not special or different.
Well, we're all special and different, or we're not special and different. But in this particular case,
that's true. Every story has been repeated somewhere at some time.
It's true.
We all like to think that our story is different. No, my relationship was different. Every story has been repeated somewhere at some place in time.
Always.
And even with relationships. And until that changes, we keep repeating the same story
over
every relationship
and over until we change ourselves. And that's the deal. Remember, we're bringing ourselves to the relationship. We're projecting ourselves in a relationship. So, oh goodness, did we lose Malyssa? Anyway, we are projecting ourselves, we're treating ourselves, we're being ourselves in the relationship. And so how can a relationship be any different if we're constantly expecting somebody else to treat us in a certain way? So the only way to change that is to change ourselves. And I want to go find out what happened to Malyssa, if that's all right with you guys. And I will keep on. Maybe she doesn't know she's not on. I don't think she does. So I need to tell her. There we go. I hope we're still live on Facebook. And so I want to continue with, good, she knows she's coming back on. Good. I want to continue with some of the concrete things that you can do to heal yourself. The link isn't working. Okay. Don't you love technology, guys? Let me get the link right now. Oh, there she comes. She's back. Yay.
Oh, sorry about that.
You went away.
I'm back.
You.
I don't know what happened. I was talking and then it's like you're talking to yourself.
So I wanted to say that, this is an example of healing yourself and healing a relationship, because we did establish that you only bring yourself to a relationship. So what were you talking about? I'm gonna let you take away.
You said healing yourself and healing your relationship. Yes. So just like the story that I was telling, the only way to be different in that is for me to go in and figure out where I need to be different. So first I need to even acknowledge that there is an issue there.
Yeah.
I had no idea that there was an issue there.
I
really thought that they just didn't like me.
This is true. We don't.
And I created all these reasons as to why they just, didn't like me. And so first, even realizing that there is an issue there. And once you realize there's an issue there, then you can start to fix that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Hold that thought for 2 seconds. I hope you can. While you gather your thoughts, I'm going to tell a little tiny story. Imagine this. Imagine that you have a job and all these people start treating you a certain way that you don't care for, like disrespecting you, not, taking away your fire, essentially, stealing your thunder, treating you less. And then you find a new job and it's all great until eventually they start doing the same damn thing. Okay, take it away.
And that's going to happen every time you go somewhere. Every time you go somewhere, you bring yourself until you make that decision to change.
Exactly.
And there was something we were talking about earlier with confirmation bias. After that, I wanted to talk about creating safety. So if we go into this situation, we're not realizing that we already have this expectation. So our brain wants us to feel safe in that environment. So it creates what we're used to. So that's why we're seeking out environments where people give us what we believe. And that's why we seek out people who give us what we believe. So like when you get that new job, you thought in the beginning that the job was great, but you really were seeking out a job that was going to give you exactly what the last job was giving you.
Exactly.
Because if you weren't, then you would have gone into there you probably could have stayed at the other job and just cleared your space and cleared your head, and everything would have been fine.
Yeah, that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what happens is, if you first acknowledge that the issue is you, and the issue is you with your relationships with yourself, then you can start to heal your relationships with other people.
Now, what are some of the problems that, remember we talked about this yesterday, about some of the problems that people do when they think it's somebody else? How are they looking at it their way? You know, the first thing they're going to do is they look at, like, well, I guess the lesson is never work at this kind of place again, or never go to a yoga studio again. And
or like never get in a relationship with, a person, never deal with people, period, at all, because all people will treat me a certain way.
Well, I was reading, there's an empath group. And there were people literally on there saying, I hate people. I never want to be around people ever. So they learned, instead of changing themselves, they learned that all people are bad and I don't have a relationship with anybody.
Yeah. And that's interesting, because I'm going to ask you, what happens before you're 7 that makes you say, I hate all people? Because I remember saying that when I was little. I just hate people. And it seemed like it was everyone else who could not fit into the mold that I needed them to fit into. So I just hated everyone.
I remember you saying it yesterday, but that's okay.
Did I say that yesterday? I think I might have said that briefly in the text.
Maybe just a little bit.
I mean, when I was little, though. When I was little, I didn't know what I was doing. As an adult, I'm aware of it and I mean it, but I don't mean it.
Right. So this is what happens when we're under the age of 7. That causes us to decide that we hate people. Number one, especially if you're sensitive like you and I are, we're so busy processing unseen stuff that doesn't match with the words that the big people are saying, that it becomes very confusing. Your baby maybe have experienced that this weekend. Then the next thing that happens is there's certain expectations over here. And then you're trying to understand, but they're not conveyed to you very well. You're supposed to know. Remember, you're supposed to know this, Malyssa. I told you this before. Person. Yeah, but the thing is sometimes adults don't communicate too well with children.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of expectations there, and then there's pressure applied for an expectation which is misunderstood or not understood or not comprehended in some way. And then the final thing that happens to children is when they get misjudged or when their intentions are misconstrued. And that's not fair. That's not right. That's not what I meant. And it's through frustrations you end up saying, I hate people. Because you got all these things going on and you don't have any. I mean, think of a 7-year-old. The kid can't even do a concrete storyline with a beginning, a middle, and an end. How do you expect them to understand what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't defend themselves.
Well, and it's like, and I'm just imagining, it's like the little kid that draws mommy a picture on the wall in ink or something not removable. And mommy screams, like, what are you doing? You're ruining my walls. And the kid is like, I just wanted to draw you a picture, mommy.
Because I love you so much.
Because I love you. And now, the poor little kid is sitting there hurt. And, mommy doesn't realize, and all mommy's thinking about is her ruined wall. Yep. So is that kind of what you mean by that?
That's exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's tough.
It is tough.
and to not be able to to understand what that is, to not be able to verbalize it, and to just have that in your head all the
And
time.
you remember, what you can't process gets stored.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've found in my work with people is I'm finding things as young as 2 that are still in there running a script, that are causing, adults in their 40s to behave some kind of way. They can't remember it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you pulled something out of me that was from like 3 months old. And I'm like, wait, what? When I was 3 months old?
That's true.
That's what I started thinking?
Because
So,
we're little
yeah.
recorders, we're little magnets, and yet we don't process any of it. We just kind of take it all in.
Yeah, I definitely have a little sponge running around here.
You
She
do.
soaks up everything.
And you see her doing it now that you're aware of what they're doing.
Yeah, and I can only imagine how many parents did not know. Well, they don't know. I mean, who does know? The only reason I know is because this is what we do. This is what we talk about. So there's a whole lot of people out there that have no idea, and they're pouring this energy into their babies and their kids, and they're growing up to be adults like us, and then they have to turn around and redo all that work over again with relationships with people, based on, how, what mommy said or what daddy said or whoever the adult was in their life that was teaching them these things. The relationship that they had with that adult is now the expectation that they're having out there in the world with relationships with other people.
This is true. Or this is another one that the guys want to throw in there. And I don't know why they do, but they want to talk about an alternative pathway that children and adults create. And it's called the incurious mind. It's the autopilot mind. It's where you just function. You're not curious. You just take everything right on the surface. And how many people know surface people? I'm just surface. I don't have any.
Don't tell him I said that. I realize that this is on Facebook forever. However, he tells me all the time, that is much too deep for me. I am surface, just keep it right here. And he likes it like that. So I don't. So I let him be surface. It works for him.
It does, because the other stuff, and this is what happens energetically on just surface. It's like you're standing on a surfboard with a whole bunch of oil, floating on oil, with a ridiculous sea of turbulence beneath you. And you think that surfboard is so smooth and so calm, and it's beautiful sunny, but there's freaking sharks underneath you, and you know what I mean? But that oil is cushioning you because you're just surface, baby. And that's how you come up.
Stay there.
But you come up with health issues that way, or you come up with quirks and weird self-soothing stuff, and that's how we all do it. And also, people who aren't as great as of hiding that, sealing that oil,
Mm-hmm.
they come up with things like alcoholism, drug abuse, other addictions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what those addictions are trying to soothe, the sharks in the water underneath, that you're just surface and not want to look at. But that's a whole nother area, but the guides wanted to talk about that. I don't know.
To throw it out there.
Just to throw it out there as an alternative lifestyle.
So what else do they want us to know?
They want us to know how simple it is to change your relationships. Okay. They do want us to know that.
So we don't actually have to continue the pattern of the up to 7-year-old, but once we make the decision, we can actually change.
We truly can. And that's what's so cool about it. And I know we have a few things on what they talked about, different ways that we can change. But one of the first things you do, and Malyssa mentioned it earlier, is just frickin' notice that I see a pattern here. What's the common denominator of the pattern?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
That's number one.
Yeah. And then see how often it happens. Is this something that you do all the time with everyone or everything? Notice when it's happening and how often it's happening and what situations it's happening. Just start to notice.
Yeah.
I guess the key is always awareness.
Yeah. Are all drivers assholes? Oh, wow. You
All of
might
them
be the
except for
asshole.
me.
Or you can say, is every clerk a bitch?
No,
You know?
no way.
And that's the kind of thing is if you're constantly meeting, angry and assholish people all the day, could be that you're the angry asshole.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you say that, that leads to the next point, which is check in with others to see if their experiences are the same. So, so like for me, if I'm like, yeah, I'm the only one who's a good driver out there. Well, does Sally agree? And does everyone else agree with that?
Oh, girl, I've been in the car with you.
So the question is everyone else having the same experience? And then you might want to check yourself and check your story and see if it's you, or is that something that's true for everyone? Is it just just the way it is?
Yeah. Have you created some sort of confirmation bias to make sure that your brain is in full agreement? Oh, don't feed it anything that doesn't fit in the box. I'm just surface, baby.
Yeah. Let's just stay on the surface, dancing on the surface. And then you want to notice what you're thinking before and after the experience, because the brain will come up with a reason for it. The brain will come up with an agreement as to why this is happening. The brain tells you that it's okay, but you have to be strong enough to evaluate for yourself, is my brain just trying to make me feel comfortable? Or, is this really something that is me? And notice how you're feeling or acting before or after that happens.
Yeah, your brain will tell you the story that you believe. And so if you notice just before something bad happens, that your brain started telling you this story, that this person's going to do this to you, this person's going to do this to you, then guess what? That's your story.
Yeah.
And guess
if they
what?
do it,
you did it.
Yeah.
You got it.
You created it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially if it's happening every time, then you might want to just notice that, hey, every time I get in a relationship, the same thing is happening.
This guy always cheats on me.
Yeah.
Always.
Exactly. But if you went into the relationship knowing that all guys cheat, then how could you expect anything different?
You know what? You carefully sought out a guy that would be guaranteed to cheat because your vibration attracted him. But that's a whole nother story. We can talk about that one later.
Yeah, that can be a whole day.
We can.
I'm totally in touch with that life, but I'm not there anymore. So
how do these people change? Now that they've noticed and they know what their story is, how do they let it go? How do they change it?
Well, you sit in meditation and you sit with yourself and you ask your heart, is this who I choose to be? Is this who I am? Is this me? Am I the person that believes this? And then once you evaluate that statement, you can then say, well, who do I choose to be?
Well, we're just taking for granted that the heart would say this is not who we choose to be. Because if the heart says yes, then you're good to go. Keep being an asshole. Bye-bye.
This is true. The heart might keep you in it.
No, the person who's saying it is going to be here. Yeah. So if you hear it in here, then it's not your heart. You got to feel it. You can't hear it. You got to feel it right by the girls.
I think it also makes sense to say, does it feel good? I think everything starts with the feelings and feeling good. For some of us, we believe that we are not allowed to feel good, or that we shouldn't feel good, or that feeling good is wrong. And I'm not talking about feeling good by addictions. I'm talking about feeling good within yourself. Feeling good in your mind, feeling good in your spirit, being happy with who you are, happy with your experiences, happy with your life. So do I feel good about the experiences that I'm having? Are they fulfilling? Am I happy?
And if the answer is no, and here's the thing, some people are numb and they don't feel whether it's good or bad. They're just not, they're doing their damnedest not to feel. And we're just gonna accept that. And the people who are not feeling well, here's the answer. Here's the question you ask. Is this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're still going to have that compass in there, whether you can feel or not. And if this is okay or this is not okay, then you can say, who do I need to be, or what needs to change in order for it to be okay? And it's not going to be find new friends. Trust me.
Mm.
It's not going to be find a new job.
It's not
going to be find a new man.
So it's not external, is what
never.
You're saying. It has nothing to do with anything external.
Ever. It has to do with you. And so the next question you can ask is, when was the first time I remember this happening?
Mm-hmm.
And examine the very first time, because here's the thing. We're going to pull lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson until we get it. And that lesson's going to be harder and more painful. Right?
Yeah.
Sigh.
Because I mean, it's so true. We repeat the lesson until we get it, until we just do it. And every lesson is a relationship with yourself.
Everyone. Yes.
Every single one. So it's like, I think if we can acknowledge that this relationship or even this situation is not working, then what am I doing?
What am I doing?
What do I need to learn?
How can
what do I need to learn?
Yes.
So that I don't have to experience this again. That's why I always ask myself, what do I need to learn from this? Because I don't want to do it again. I don't want to keep having this experience. I remember when my baby was in the hospital for all those weeks, I would ask myself every day, I know it was every day, what do I need to learn from this? This is hard. This hurts. What do I need to learn from this? And I did actually learn some very good lessons just because I asked myself the question, not because I believed it was my fault, but because I just wanted to know, what could I learn?
And that's a very good point, Malyssa. The universe is not saying, and we're not saying that it's your fault. We're saying it's your opportunity for learning. You know, first you have to take responsibility before you can take your opportunity. So it's not about blame. It's about responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So you were taking, in the hospital, you were taking responsibility for, I have a part in this misery. What do I learn about this part that I have? Exactly. As opposed to, I caused my baby this pain.
Right, no. Exactly. Or being angry with the hospital or the doctors or this or that. I mean, there were so many other things that I could be angry about, but I chose to focus my energy on, what do I need to learn from this situation? Because even though there's a lot of pain surrounding it, and you can easily put your attention onto something else outside of it or outside of yourself, it's also just as easy to say, hey, if there's something I need to know, now's a good time to figure it out.
Ding.
So that I can move forward and not have to do this again. Because that was some of the worst pain I've ever felt. And the last thing that I want to do is feel that pain again.
And what did you learn? Share it with the class.
I learned a lot. I learned to trust the process. I learned to trust the hospital even when I did not want to, so that I could get through the situation.
You learned to surrender to things you had no control over.
Exactly. Because I did have an experience with the hospital previously that was, where they were responsible for my sister's passing. And I never, ever, ever trusted a hospital again. I refused. You
brought that to your relationship with a hospital.
I did. So what did I learn? I learned to trust the process. And what I did was I just started coming in happy every day, to the point where the nurses were feeling bad for me. They wanted me to leave because I was like, hey, it's fine. Everything is okay. And they, but we're sorry that you're still here. And I'm like, hey, I'm good. I've let it go. It's the process. We're good. My baby's good. We'll figure it out. And the more I learned that lesson about changing me, the easier it was until the day she left. And like they used to tell me, it's only a small part of her life, that experience. But it was the roughest experience that I've ever had. So
And now we're gonna let it go. And it's not going to be a story in her life either about how hard her life was. We're not going to let her carry that pain.
She has no idea.
And she never will.
She doesn't know what they told her, what they told me that they thought that she should be based on their calculations. She has,
and don't let any family member tell her either. She doesn't need to know.
She's exceeded all expectations, actually.
It's true. Daddy's not going to let it slip. Grandma's not going to let it slip. Nobody's going to tell that baby. You lay down that law. Baby never needs to learn it. Yeah. Maybe when she's 18, she can learn it and she'll go, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be part of her story.
No, it doesn't. It does not. And it was a lesson for me. And because I chose to see that lesson and learn from it, hopefully I will not be repeating it in any form, not having a baby, but just in any form. It's a lesson that I hopefully will not have to repeat. And
that's a good point, Malyssa. That's a good point when you said in any form, because if we get too specific on the lesson, we miss the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and every single thing is a lesson, which is one of those things that I actually, in life, if I'm just being honest, I get frustrated because I'm like, another lesson. These lessons. Can't I just live without these lessons? But every single moment is a lesson, because every single moment is an experience, is a story, is a truth, it's just a lesson. And if we sit in those lessons and we grow from them, then our relationships with people around us will change.
Trust me, when you get into your 60s, the lessons come a lot slower.
You
don't have, everything isn't a lesson anymore.
That's nice. I'm looking forward to that day, because I still, and it's like, I don't even realize it until I'm talking. I'm like, oh gosh, there's another one of those lessons.
But it's, wait a minute. If you took the time to learn them in your 40s.
There you go.
That's if you didn't learn them in your 40s, your 60s are pure tea hell.
And you're still doing the same stuff you were doing when you were 7.
Yep. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
There's a life unexamined.
Is there anything else that the guys would like for us to know?
To help people to understand? Yes, they would. Now, and this is coming partially from me as, a grown-ass woman, and partially from the guides. And here's the thing in relationships. The first thing you need to bring to a relationship is forgiveness. So if that relationship is about you, you got to forgive yourself for your not doing well. And then the next thing you need to do is forgive the other people. That's number one in relationships. The next thing you need to do is bring respect in relationships. They have the right and honor and sovereignty, just like you have self-respect in your relationship. So forgiveness, number one, respect, number 2. So here's the thing. Say people are trespassing on your boundaries. People take advantage of me. You disrespect yourself. You gave them permission to disrespect you because you disrespect yourself. So that's just a broad thing, just to pay attention.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
If you're in a position where you're used to being disrespected, how do you even know that you don't want to be treated that way? So if you're so used to being treated that way.
I got a little tiny story for that.
Okay.
When I was in 5th or 6th grade, my mother had to leave, and I was too young to be on my own in the house by myself because my father was in another country doing something. Anyway, so my grandmother came to stay with me. And I was expected I was expecting that, you know, this is how you're treated. Now, sixth grade is above the age of 7, or fifth grade is. I'm an adult, or, you know, I'm a kid. And she was nice to me. She didn't yell at me. She cooked for me. She took care of me. And I wasn't used to it. And so it was a shock to me to see that I wasn't being treated well. I didn't know any other way. I didn't feel any other way. I didn't know. So I think if someone is in a situation where they have been disrespected, notice how their soul feels. Does it feel full? Do you feel blah? Do you feel meh? Do you feel, you know, nothing? Or notice if you feel joy and excitement and pleasure for this day. So there's a really good chance that you're not being fed in some way. I started doing better in school. I started doing my life because of the simple thing of, I respect you because you're a person. And that's what I got from my grandmother. You were respected and cared about.
Wow, that was a nice grandma.
Oh, she was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To teach you that. And for you to even be aware enough to notice it, like, hey, this is different.
Well, not only that, I think that month changed my life.
Oh, wow.
I think it did. It changed the course of my life, that I realized that there are other opportunities and options, which is why I said that animal story earlier. That's how I treat everyone in my life.
So is it your grandmother that taught you that? How to treat everyone like that?
I think so. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
I've always liked that. Treat people how you want to be treated. And that's how I live. I live by treating people. If I don't want you doing that to me, why would I do that to someone else?
It's true.
Because you pretty much get what you give.
And treat yourself how you want to be treated. If you're going to speak nasty to yourself and not believe in yourself and believe that you're inferior or less than or better than or any kind of thing that's, you know, any kind of twist.
That's hard.
Don't do it.
That's hard. Treat myself as good as I treat other people.
Ding! Yay! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. You are the first person in a relationship with other people.
Absolutely.
And how your relationship is with yourself is going to be reflected shiny and pretty. Because remember, the guide said, every relationship is a reflection of you.
Absolutely.
And with that, I think we're going to leave it there. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
Until next week.
Until next week.
And if you want to work with us, please direct message us. I have a membership group where I answer questions from the guides twice a month, but I also have private counseling coaching. And Malyssa?
And I have a daily yoga practice every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time, Sunday through Friday. And we do a mastermind mindset group on Sunday, where we really dig into the mindset stuff, but it's more about what you're actually going through in the moment. So we talk about what you went through the past week and how to make the following week a little better, really to help you start creating some things in your life.
Yes. So until next week.
That's what we do.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.